Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Voice of Diary. If you directly listening this part, recommend to listen the previous story first. This is the second part of the previous story. So let's start the story. I'm 32 male, and by this point, the silence between us wasn't peaceful anymore. It was strategic. After I stopped covering expenses, the tone shifted. Fast. The first message came 3 days later. Hey, quick question. Did you move money from the joint account? Joint. That word had always meant mine when it was convenient and ours when she needed a defense. I replied, I separated my income. Like we discussed. There was a pause, long enough for entitlement to think. Then came the follow-up. So, you just going to leave me stuck? Not us. Not the situation. Her. That's when I knew this wasn't about partnership. It never was. That night, she came home earlier than usual. No greeting. No small talk. She walked straight to the bedroom, opened drawers, checked the closet. I watched from the kitchen as she realized something else had changed. My important documents were gone. She tried to stay calm. Failed. Why are my things missing? They're not yours, I said. They're mine. I moved them somewhere safe. Her jaw tightened. You're being dramatic. That sentence used to work on me. It didn't anymore. The next few weeks were a masterclass in manipulation. First, guilt. I supported you emotionally when you were stressed. I believed in you before you made money. I sacrificed my independence for us. Independence. Paid for by my credit cards. Then came anger. She accused me of financial abuse. Said I was controlling. Said I was punishing her for wanting autonomy. Autonomy apparently included using my money without limits. When that didn't work, she escalated. One afternoon, I got a call from my bank's fraud department. Someone had tried to add a new authorized user to one of my accounts. Same phone number. Same email. Hers. She didn't even ask. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. I was just trying to protect myself, she said. You're being unpredictable. Unpredictable. Because I stopped paying. That night, I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I opened my laptop and did something I should have done a long time ago. I audited everything. Every transfer. Every purchase. Every subscription. Every rent payment. Every I'll pay you back. The numbers weren't shocking anymore. They were clarifying. Over 2 years, I had covered nearly everything. Rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, travel, furniture. She paid occasionally. Just enough to say she contributed. But here's the part that made my stomach settle instead of turn. Several payments went to accounts I didn't recognize. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. Monthly. Consistent. I traced them. They weren't bills. They were transfers to her sibling. Money she told me was for shared expenses. I sat there, staring at the screen, realizing this wasn't careless spending. This was deliberate. The next morning, I met with an attorney. Not for revenge. For clarity. I brought bank statements, lease agreements, texts, screenshots. The attorney leaned back, flipped through the documents, and said, You did the right thing separating finances when you did. I asked what my options were. He explained it calmly. No drama. No promises. Civil recovery was possible for specific misrepresentations, especially documented transfers labeled falsely. Small claims for some, civil court for others. And then he added something important. Before you confront her, secure everything. Accounts, credit, access. Because entitlement gets dangerous when it's threatened. That night, I froze my credit. Changed passwords. Removed her access from everything. She noticed immediately. The explosion came fast. You lock me out? You're ruining my life. You're acting like a stranger. I looked at her and said, I stopped acting like a wallet. That's when the mask slipped. You owe me, she said. For the first time, she didn't soften it. I invested time in you. I planned my future around your income. There it was. Not love. Not partnership. Return on investment. She threatened to tell people I was abusive. That I controlled money. That I abandoned her. I told her she was free to say whatever she wanted. Then I did something she didn't expect. I handed her a printed spreadsheet. Dates, amounts, descriptions, transfers. She stared at it. What is this? A record, I said, of what I paid for and what you took. Her voice dropped. You're not actually going to do anything with that. I didn't answer. That silence did more damage than yelling ever could. Over the next few days, she tried everything. Crying. Apologies. Promises. Sudden job applications. Sudden responsibility. Too late. She asked if we could reset. Asked if we could start fresh. I told her I already had. Then came the last dirty move. She emptied the apartment while I was at work. Took furniture. Appliances. Even things I bought before we lived together. I came home to empty rooms and a note on the counter. I took what I deserved. That sentence ended any remaining doubt. I didn't chase her. I didn't call her family. I didn't argue. I filed a police report for the items removed without permission. Not dramatic, just factual. Dates, receipts, serial numbers. Then I filed a civil claim for the misrepresented transfers. Slow, methodical, documented. The kind of process entitlement hates. Because it doesn't respond to emotions. It responds to consequences. And those consequences were just getting started. Once paperwork starts moving, lies lose oxygen. The police report didn't create drama. It created deadlines. She ignored the first call, then the second. By the third, reality finally knocked loud enough to interrupt her confidence. Her first text came late at night. Why are cops calling me? I didn't answer. The civil claim followed a week later. Not aggressive, not exaggerated, just precise. Misrepresented transfers. Unauthorized removal of property. Documentation attached. She responded the only way entitled people know how. She tried to flip the narrative. Filed a counterclaim saying the money was shared. Claimed the furniture was mutually owned. Said I promised long-term support verbally and backed out. The problem wasn't her confidence. The problem was evidence. Every transfer had notes. Every large purchase had receipts. The lease had one name on it. Mine. The furniture invoices were in my email. Paid from my account. The messages where she called the money temporary help were time-stamped. In court, stories don't compete. Records do. During mediation, she finally saw it. No raised voices. No emotional speeches. Just a neutral mediator flipping through pages while her attorney slowly stopped nodding. Her attorney asked for a break. When they came back, her posture had changed. Less upright, less certain. They offered a settlement. Partial repayment. Return of some items. I declined. Not out of anger. Out of principle. The judge eventually ruled on the uncontested facts first. Property removal without consent. Misrepresented transfers. Clear ownership. She was ordered to return the items or pay their value. She was ordered to repay a portion of the funds labeled under false pretenses. She was warned, clearly, about misuse of identity and credit. No yelling. No shaming. Just consequences. The look on her face wasn't rage anymore. It was disbelief. Because entitlement always assumes it will be protected by emotion. It never plans for documentation. The real revenge wasn't the money. It was the shift. People stopped believing her stories once the paperwork surfaced. Friends she'd leaned on quietly distanced themselves. The strong independent image cracked when it became clear how dependent she'd been. She reached out one last time after everything settled. I never thought you'd actually go this far. I replied once. I didn't go far. I stopped carrying you. That was it. No victory lap. No speeches. I moved apartments. Closed accounts. Reset my life. The quiet afterward felt different. Not empty. Clean. Here's what I learned. Paying for someone's life doesn't make you generous. It makes you useful until you stop. Entitlement doesn't fear confrontation. It fears accountability. And independence that's funded by someone else isn't independence at all. If this story hit close to home, you already know why it matters. Subscribe if you want more stories where entitlement meets receipts and loses.